Hello, everyone. This is Rich Bendickson with Dashboard Gear for another business intelligence session. Today's going to be a little bit different than past sessions, and I know I've said that before, but this one here is going to be more of an overview of products. We are not going to be doing sessions for the next couple of weeks because those of you that are joining us some other time, this is December 18th, and so for the next 2 weeks, we're going to be taking a holiday break. So today, I just wanted to do something a little bit light for you and give you an overview of the Infor Birst product. As many of you know, we are partners of Infor in implementing Birst, as well as partners of Microsoft in their products. And I've spent a lot of time going through SQL reporting services and Excel. I've done a little bit of Power BI. We'll get into more of that later. And then the product from Infor for their business intelligence is called Birst. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump on over to my other screen here, and I have a slide that we usually use when presenting Birst to various customers. And it's a high-level overview of kind of the architecture. Now, it's pretty busy what this is, and so I'm going to dive into some of the details. In sessions that we get into after the first of the year, we're going to dive into the specifics of each component. But what I wanted to do is kind of give you a big picture today of what's there, and then I'll walk through kind of a real basic demo as well. What you see on this slide is then the left-hand side is typically data pieces. So you can source things like dashboard gear data or data out of it. You can get Workday, Infor, Epic, Oracle, basically anything that is the standard kind of relational data sources that you would get at, as well as Infor Cube. So anything that's a typical data source, CSV files, things like that are all available. This big center section is one of the things that Birst differentiates itself from some of the other BI platforms, and that's the data layer within it. They have an area in particular in here that's labeled automated data refinement. It's basically the ETL layer that brings together the information and provides some meaning around it to make the other components easy. And then downstream, there's tools that sit on top that are part of Birst that get into the analytics, the reporting, and so forth. So if I jump on over, I have signed in already to the Birst environment. And this is what it looks like when you sign into Birst. And this is just my development area, so it's going to be nothing fancy here. But when you get into Birst, depending on your license, on the left-hand side here, you're going to see a number of components. And depending on your role that you've been granted in the license that you have, you'll see different things. Now, what are these tools? The first tool that I'm going to talk about is the modeler. The modeler is the application in the Birst environment that brings together that data. And so it allows you to pick your data sources. So this is where you would go ahead and say, I want to get my Infor data, or I would like to link this up to my dashboard gear data mart, which is what I highly recommend. So you'll hook it up to that. It'll bring in the data. It'll make those connections that make the rest of the suite easier to work with. Once you have that data in the model, and there again, we'll go through the more details of that in a future session, you have two tools, the visualizer and the designer, that allow you to kind of work with that. And this is kind of the typical BI stack. The first, the designer. If I go to the designer is the standard relational type report writer. It allows you to do kind of the pixel perfect printed reports. So layout, page titles and lines and all of that kind of thing. So think P&Ls, balance sheets, the typical kind of printed or report style reports. The other component in there, the visualizer, is the tool that allows you to do more of the graphical analytics. So to create the graphs, the charts, the KPIs, that kind of thing. And, you know, just at a high level, how you work with these tools is they're through subject areas, and the subject areas are what we built in the modeler. So the subject areas might be financial reporting, or it might be human resources, or it could be a specific role. There's a lot of ways to break up subjects, but basically a subject area is a model that you're sitting inside of. So like for this example, I have sales data. I could go to my measures, which we've covered this on the other products. A measure is really just a calculation or a number. So if I wanted to see total billings, for instance, I could drop that on here. And you notice it's building out a chart. I could go back in here and say, for that billing amount, I want to see it by account, and I could put that in the category. So it's the tool that allows you to kind of build out the graphical charts, graphs, KPIs, those things that you want to look at. So what you do is you use the two tools, Visualizer and Designer, to design your components. And then the last piece that's part of the Birst platform is, I'm not going to save, don't save, is called dashboards. And the dashboards are the pieces where you bring together those components you just designed. So the charts, the graphs, the reports, and so forth. So here's just a sample dashboard that I built as part of our training exercises. So expected sales revenue. This is a visualizer component that when I click on it, goes to another dashboard that has a number of different pieces. Each one of these is a visualizer component that I built. And then down here is a designer report. So as you see, it's just the type of content that you're putting in there. And then you piece it together in the dashboard. So those are the big rocks within the Birst application. So dashboards bring together visualizer and designer, and all of that is linked through models that are built on the data. And we at Dashboard Gear have a wonderful data set and model that links in nicely with Infor Birst, and we can help you with that. So that's really it from an overview of the environment that we're going to get into. What we will do in future sessions is I'll dive into the details of the modeler, the designer, the visualizer, and then dashboards. And we'll kind of go through each of those pieces and give you some kind of tips and tricks on those, as well as, deeper understanding. So, as we get into it, as always, if you do have any suggestions, please feel free to email us at info@dashboardgear.com. And I really appreciate you taking the time to listen. And if we can help you out in any way with your business intelligence needs, feel free to reach out. So after the first of the year, we'll be back with another tip. Have a happy holidays, everyone.